Hey up everyone, hope you're all doing well. That is it, finito. UFC pay-per-views are done for 2025. So I thought, you know what, let's get every single one of them and put them straight into a tier list. Now here we have the tier list, of course. What the fuck? An awful card, meh, just alright. Good, well, quite mid, good, great, very up there, but not quite. And then you've got GOAT, of course. The best of the year is what goes into GOAT. I don't have to explain this too much. You're not all thick as shit, but there will be a few of you who are thick as fuck. So I have to just kind of give a bit of a rundown. And we're going to work our way through the year chronologically because it just makes the most sense. And we're going to start off with UFC 311. Now, this is the one which on paper everyone was excited for. You had Islam Makhachev take on Renato Moicano, which is a bit of a stinker of a main event only because Arman Tsarukyan had to pull out. So that dims it a bit. The co-main had a fight of the year contender in Merab versus Umar, where I think Merab was an underdog. Yeah, an underdog as well. So that made this card a lot better. You had Yuri versus Jamal Hill, what was an absolute banger. You had Jailton Almeida get a finish over Sergey Spivak. So you had a few finishes on this card. I mean, you even had RDR submit Kevin Holland. Peyton Talbot took his first loss against Leone Barcelos. Wasn't a crazy fight or anything, but still quite stands out a fair bit. Bakoev finished Zach Reese. Bogdan Guskov finished Billy Alicana. You know, there's a few finishes on this card. Now, the early prelims weren't that special. Then as soon as the prelims kick in, this is when it really started to kick in. This card does. In my opinion, very good card. I want to put it in great, but I feel like the only thing what's stopping me is the main event really the fuck is over. We went from a fight of the year contender, Merab versus Umar, to then just Islam versus Moicano, and everyone knew, I mean, look at the odds. Massive underdog. No one really gave Money Moicano a chance, and the reason to why is because he got done in, bummed in a match with a round. So for when it comes to this card, I'm gonna have to put it in great. I feel like you got Jamal Hill and Yuri Prohaska, banger. I mean, you got like a high level banger between Umar and Merab, brilliant. A few finishes on the card as well. Yeah, I've got to put it in great. Just above good, just below GOAT. Like, I wouldn't be mad if you put it in good or GOAT, in all fairness. Next up, we have UFC 312 between Sean Strickland and DDP, the rematch in Australia. Where does this go? Well, the rematch, we were all expecting a banger. It was quite close on the bookies, if I remember correctly, yeah. But Strickland was just couldn't get going whatsoever. He couldn't get out of first gear and was just stuck. And DDP just battered him. Zhang versus Tatiana Suarez. Again, contested for the first round, but outside of that, it was all Zhang. Talison Teixeira with a nice finish, in all fairness. Jimmy Cruz and Rodolfo Bellato, apparently in a draw. I can't remember that fight whatsoever. And just like the entire card, it's quite forgettable. Gabriel Santos looked good against Jack Jenkins, in all fairness, but Kong Wang came back. I think this was when she just lost. We got the UFC debut of Alexander Topuria, which was quite nice as well, but it wasn't a crazy performance. It was cool to watch. But yeah, just Saul killed with the knockout over Anshul Jubbly was a cool one as well to start off the card, but just not much here on the bone. Like, I'm going to be honest, it's going to have to go. It's going to have to go straight in what the fuck. It just wasn't really that good, other than a Saul killed knockout. Talison Teixeira, really, but that was super quick as well. And Topuria's debut, which was nothing crazy. The card was just, there was nothing to it, and I don't know what else to say. We'll just fuck all through this card. So 312 goes into what the fuck. It wasn't that great whatsoever. Next up, UFC 313 between Alex Pereira and Ankalaev. Where does this one go? Now, the main event between Ankalaev and Pereira, I don't think it was like crazy good, but at the same time, it wasn't that bad either. Like, it was contested. I had a few moments here and there when like Ank was able to tag Pereira. Pereira looked good with a takedown defense. There was some good moments in this fight, and it was competitive and contested, and a big fight as well. It had a big build to it. So, you know what? Even though it didn't super deliver, it was still a good main event. The co-main was brilliant between Justin Gaethje and Fiziev, especially considering Fiziev came in on short notice. The UFC was scrambling for a short notice replacement, and considering that context as well, just adds to it a lot more. Brilliant co-main. Ignacio Bahamondes looked amazing against Jalen Turner. Granted that Jalen Turner was like, you know, that was like retirement Jalen Turner, but now he's back. Amanda Lemos and Lucinda, I don't remember much. Ruffy got a cool KO of the year contender against Bobby Green. We don't call him by his normal legal name nowadays. Joshua Van Rey Tesoro was spamming takedowns and Joshua Van beating up and punishing for it. Bruno Ferreira, Armand Petrosian was pretty cool. Carlos Leal and Alex Morono was pretty cool. Myron Santos, people say it was a robbery. I actually thought Santos won, but it was very competitive and quite a decent fight. So you know what? This is actually a decent card in my opinion. It had its moments. I think it's quite consistent overall. So I'm just going to go and put it in good. I don't think anything truly stood out. But yeah, just quite mid, quite good in my opinion. But now we move on. And we have UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Lopez in Miami. And this card was absolutely fantastic. We had a great fight between Volkanovski and Diego Lopez where Volkanovski ran back the clock, came back and beat Diego Lopez in an absolute brilliant fight. Looked amazing in that performance as well, considering he's meant to be Unk now. And then you also had the co-main where Paddy Pimblett. What are the odds on this one? Yeah, I mean, we're quite even. I know people shit on this win now because Chandler's like... Chandler, but it was evens going into this one. It was quite contested to predict this one, but Paddy just went out there and just beat the living shit out of Chandler. That's just the best way to put this one. Yair Rodriguez versus Pitbull. I think Yair dropped Pitbull in the third round, was it? Outside of that, nothing really happened. Quite a dud of a fight. Gene Silver Bryce Mitchell was quite a cool one in all fairness, so that was quite good. And also on the main card, you had Dominic Reyes knock out Nikita Krylov. So the main card, other than Yair Rodriguez and Pitbull, absolutely delivered 100%. But how did the prelims get up? Well, you had Dan Ige finish Sean Woodson in a banger fight before the finish as well. Werner Jandaroba, Zhang Jianan wasn't that brilliant, but a nice performance from Jandaroba. Chase Super defeated Jim Miller in quite a decent fight, if I remember correctly, but I can't remember it too much. Julian Erosa got a nice finish over Darren Alkins. Poor Darren Alkins. I remember that fight. God, it was hard to watch for Darren Alkins. Mikel, I can't say his name, finished Cedric Dumas, and he's a part of the Fighting Nerds. Brilliant performance. I don't remember this fight. Tulio with the finish over Tresean Gore was a brilliant display from Tulio. And then to start off with the women's MMA, we got a nice finish as well, which you can't say that often about women's MMA. So, you know what? This was absolutely a fantastic card. Pretty much from the start all the way to the end. So, in my opinion, this is a very easy one. It's got to go and GOAT for this year because it was consistent. It had big moments, it had finishes, and it had back and forth fights. So how can you not go with GOAT? But then next up, we get to UFC 315, which was Belal taking on JDM, and also another title fight as well between Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot. Now, in the main event, quite a decent main event, you know. Belal was forced, because he couldn't really do much with his grappling, was forced to go on the feet, and he just got his head pinged about for like, 4 or 5 rounds. So, yeah, he got his head pinged across, a clear 49-46 for JDM, in my opinion, if I remember correctly. But it was entertaining to watch Belal just get his head pinged across the octagon. As someone who's a big Leon fan, yeah, that was quite fun to watch, won't lie. Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot, wasn't that crazy. It had its moments. It was all right, but it wasn't anything crazy, I'll be honest with you. Armin Zahabi and Jose Aldo. We're going to move on from that one. No, it was actually, even though I'm like butthurt about it, Armin Zahabi did what he had to do. Jose Aldo, I thought, won this fight, but still, it was a fun fight. Aldo was doing good in this fight. I think he won rounds 2 and 3. Rounds 1 and 2, if I remember correctly, in my opinion. And then that third round was so chaotic. Aldo hurt him, fucking booted him on the head when he was a grounded opponent. And then Armin Zahabi came back. It was a very fun fight. Natalia Silva, I wouldn't say it was a boring fight, but it wasn't anything crazy, and she looked absolutely amazing against Alexa Grasso. Great performance, and it was one of those performances which it wasn't super fun, but I feel like if you're a proper MMA fan, you could appreciate how wow she actually looked. Benoit Saint Denis got a second round submission. Nice, good stuff from him. Mike Malott got a nice finish as well. Jasmine got a finish over fucking Jessica Andrade. Medeiros Pikauskas got a nice win over Ion Cutelaba. There's all right moments on this one. Marc-Andre Barriot, yeah, he got a finish as well. Bekzat Almakon flatlining Brad Katona was brilliant. So a really, really good card in my opinion. Low-key maybe a bit slept on. I don't know if I'll put it in great. I'll put it in good. And I'll put it just behind, I'll just put it behind Ankalaev in, I think it was 313, because It's just oozing good in my opinion. Nothing crazy to put it in great or goat. But yeah, a good pay-per-view nonetheless. Next up, we have UFC 316. Merab Dvalishvili taking on Sean O'Malley in the rematch. And this is another two-title fight where we had Pena taking on Kayla Harrison as well. Now, the main event, it was just Merab just fucking wiping the floor of O'Malley, just bullied him pretty much, and got the finish. So he beat the allegations of just decision machine and got a finish over O'Malley. Decent, nice little main event. Co-main event, Kayla Harrison did the job, got Juliana Pena out of there, and it was a decent build from both of those women because we were talking a bit. So on the co-main main, delivered dominance, really. Joe Pyfer had a weird performance against Gastelum because in the first round, hurt him badly, dropped him, and then just kind of took his foot off the pedal and just coasted to a decision win. So that kind of lets it down a bit. Mario Batista beat the shit out of Apache Mix, let's just be honest. Kevin Holland got a nice submission over Vicente Luque. Joshua Van looked brilliant against Bruno Silva. Mizkanov got a nice finish as well. Waldo Cortez Acosta got, in my opinion, I thought he got lucky with the nod. Got a decision against Spivak, but it was a fun fight. Andreas Gustafsson was in a fun fight against Chaos Williams. Kong Wang looked really good. Saul killed, although not better than the Jubilee fight, still looked quite good and well-rounded in my opinion. So yeah, this was an alright card as well. Where would I put it though in terms of the rankings? I don't actually know, because it's quite inconsistent. It has some good moments, and like the prelims were quite nice to be fair. Early prelims were just okay. I think I'll put this in good as well, to be honest with you boys. I'm going to put this one in good as well. Just doesn't do enough to be in great or goat in my opinion, but he still has these moments, quite consistent as well. I'll put that just behind the next one, the previous one, sorry, in UFC 315. So that's UFC 316 done. Now International Fight Week, UFC 317. How did this one play out? Well, we had Tapori versus Oliveira, and again, this was like, what, 3 back-to-back-to-back cards with a co-main as a championship bout and the main event as a championship bout. Ilia Tapori made light work of Charles Oliveira when he's 155, not debut, but, now he's 155 career. Put Charles Oliveira in the Shadow Realm. Co-main event, Pantoja made light work of Kai Kara France. Joshua Van versus Brandon Royval, fight of the year contender, absolute Brahma. Benil Dariush versus Moicano had its moments, nothing crazy though. Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima, I enjoyed that a lot. I actually thought it was very entertaining. Felipe Lima gave Peyton some trouble in the first round, but then Peyton adapted and looked great in the second and third round. Great fight put together on like sort of short notice. Robocop flatline and Jackmanton was scary. Brilliant stuff. Delgado finishing Hyder Mill. Brilliant stuff. Trace Cortez got to a decision. Terrence McKinney made light work of Borzchev. Jacob Smith finished Nico Price. This was a brilliant fight as well. Deniz versus Alvin Hines. Then Alvin Hines tested positive. This was a brilliant fight, man. Card, man. Like, stacked, consistent, bangers, finishes. It had everything to it. So easily, this is comfortably, in my opinion, so far, the best card of the year, like, hands down. Don't get me wrong, the Miami one, 314, was brilliant, but 317, man, it just delivered on every single aspect, in my opinion. Like, I can't get the Joshua Van and Brandon Royval fight out of my head. It was brilliant, contested, back and forth, both landing big shots, trading in the middle. It was absolutely perfect, and this card got to be at #1 spot for me right now. But after 317, we get to UFC 318, which was the last fight of Dustin Poirier's career when he did a trilogy against Max Holloway. And of course, that was a brilliant fight. Max Holloway hurting Dustin Poirier early, and then Poirier coming back in like the second or third round, was it, and dropping Max and having him badly hurt. Brilliant fight, but Max just beat the snot out of Dustin Poirier. Poirier just looked his age, really, and I'm glad that he's called it quits now. Costa versus Kopylov. Oh, my days, I forgot that was a co-main. Oh. Costa looked good. Entertaining bout, in all fairness. D-Rod and Kevin Holland was quite a decent one, if I remember. I can't remember too much about that fight. Pitbull and Danny Ige had its moments here and there, but nothing crazy. Johnson Zalhuber was a bit of a dud, in my opinion. Vinicius Oliveira, Kyler Phillips was pretty cool. Brendan Allen Marvin Vittori was okay. That was a good fight of the night. Prado and Varen Cheng, that was an alright fight if I remember correctly. Ateba Gorte got a nice finish. Dilatov got a nice finish, and also another bit like that was back-to-back prospects right there. You had Jimmy Crute get a finish. Ryan Spann got a finish. So there was a fair few finishes on this card. But I don't know, man. Like, you just look at it and, like, the star power on this card was just, like, really put. I mean, like, come on. Costa and Roman Kopylov as a co-main is pretty crazy for a pay-per-view. I'm just going to put this. I'm going to put it had its moments, and I feel a bit harsh for putting it in meh. But it's got to go in meh for me. The main event delivered. But there's just a lot of fights were just okay. They're just okay. They're nothing crazy. They are just simply okay. So it simply goes into meh for me. Maybe you're going to argue about it, but fucking cry about it. 318 goes into meh for me. It was just whatever, really. Next up, 319 in August. DDP versus Khamzat Chimaev. A massively built card. Like, a massively hyped fight. Did he deliver? Well, the main event itself didn't really deliver. You know, Khamzat just did what he had to do, really. Don't blame Khamzat, but he did what he had to do, and DDP just didn't have an answer for it. Lerone Murphy and Aaron Pico, brilliant. Spinning elbow. Carlos Prates, brilliant. Spinning elbow. The night of the spinning elbow attacks in the first round. Lovely stuff. MVP did typical MVP and just styled on Jared Cannonier, which can be entertaining for, like, TikTok clip farmers. But other than that, it's just like... It's like, he's so fun to watch, in my opinion, MVP, when he's actually doing something. But when it's those moments where he's not really doing much, it's quite just, you know what I mean? Oh, well, you know what I mean? The activity is not really there. Tim Elliott and Kaya Sakura was quite a fun fight, in all fairness. Baisunga Susukaev and Eric Nolan was quite a decent fight as well. Mikkel got a nice KO over GM3. I don't remember much about Lupi and Jessica Andrade. Alex Hernandez got a great finish over Chase Hooper, in all fairness. The start of the card wasn't that brilliant. Oh, Joseph Morales looked brilliant against Alibi Idris, by the way. That was a good fight. Quite okay. Edson Barboza got robbed. Quite a decent card. Probably just going to go into good for me. The main event let it down, really. Co-main did well. Prates did well. You had its moments for sure. I'm going to put it in good. I might put it above. Yeah, I'll put it around there. It was just a good card, man. Nothing crazy. Can't go wrong with it. A good card, in my opinion. Next up, UFC 320, the rematch between Ank and Alex Pereira. Obviously, the main event delivered. Alex Pereira got revenge. Showing that, yes, the excuses of him being injured were excuses, but they were valid excuses. And put away all the naysayers. Everyone was saying Anklav's going to win the rematch. And Pereira just said, nah, fuck that. I'm going to put him away. Merab did great against Corey Sandhagen. It was competitive in the first round. And then after that, Merab was styled on him, really. Great performance from Merab. Super fun fight from Yuri and Khalil Roundtree. Fight of the year contender. Brilliant fight. Zalal making light work of Josh Emmett as well. And Joe Pyfer making light work of Abbas Magomedov. The main card really did deliver when you think about it. Like, every single fight on the main card absolutely delivered. It was either a finish or a banger of a fight, so you can't really go wrong with that one. Ateba Gautier looked brilliant. Daniel Santos, the Korean Zombie Jr. hype train got derailed. Wasn't happy about that, but yeah, he did a great job. It was a good finish. Wicklax beat Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix not had a good 2025. Edmund Shabazian looked good against Andre Muniz. Don't remember that fight whatsoever. Don't remember that fight, but it's Chris Gutierrez, so it was more than likely boring, let's be honest. Don't remember much. So, like, the early prelims kind of let it down a bit, if I remember correctly. It's fair. Bram Edge got a nice submission over Austin Vanderford. I remember that. That was quite a nice finish. But the prelims kind of let it down a bit. Well, at least the early prelims do. Then it picks up when it gets to the normal prelims. And the main card absolutely delivers. So, I was going to put it in great, but the early prelims just laid down too much. I'm going to put it at the top of good. You could make an argument for great, in all fairness. I just feel like the early prelims really shafty, to my opinion. But now we move on almost towards the end of the year. UFC 321, where we get Aspinall and Garn. Some nice eye pokes in this card. Tom Aspinall gets eye poked by Cyril Garn. It's a no contest. Don't want to talk about it. There's no need. We know dog shit. Mackenzie Dern, Vernon Jandaroba was actually quite a decent fight, in all fairness. Dern won quite comfortably. I'd say comfortably. She won clearly. She won clearly. But it was quite a decent fight for women's MMA as well. Nice 5-round fight. Umar Mario Batista was a good fighter as well. Quite high level at mixed martial arts, in my opinion. Volkov and Jolton Almeida was dog shit. Just saying it how it is, it was utter dog shit. Mirza Kanov finishing Rakic was brilliant to start off the main card. Salkild finishing Hakparast was brilliant as well. Ikram and Park. I can't really remember much about that fight. Ludovic Klein versus Rebecca, though. Holy moly, that was an absolute fight of the year contender. It was absolutely brilliant. Klein was looking brilliant against Rebecca, but then Rebecca was pulling it back in that third round and was really looking good against Klein. Volta Walker, heel hook, lovely. Nathaniel Wood Delgado, in my opinion, I thought Delgado won, but it was a banger as well. No surprise from both of these boys. Are always in fun fights. Hamdi, Chris Barnett was just pulling down Chris Barnett's shorts. Raposo and Azat Maxim. Was it okay fight, if I remember correctly? Early prelims kind of let this down, apart from Wood and Delgado. And then after this, it really comes into its own, in my opinion, besides this one. And the main event lets it down. Fuck, man. It might be another good, you know. Fuck it. I'm putting in another good only because this would have been great if the main event delivered. Like, early prelims was a bit ass until Wood and Delgado. The prelims delivered. The main card was delivering, apart from Volkov and Thingy. And then the main card let us down as well. Oh, do I be harsh and put it in there? The main event just left such a sour taste. I've got to put it in there. I'll put it at the top of there, if it'll let me. There. It just left such a sour taste, man. So I've got to put it in there. Next up, 322, we have the New York card. JDM and Islam Makhachev. Islam Makhachev just wet blanketed him, did what he had to do. Very high level from Islam Makhachev. Valentina Zhang, high level from Shevchenko. Just absolutely completely shut down Zhang, but it wasn't the most fun to watch. I found it quite entertaining to watch how impressive it was for Valentina to make it lightweight, but still, overall, wasn't super fun to watch. Michael Morales and Brady, brilliant. Prates and Leon, prefer not to speak. As a value, entertainment-wise, you got a knockout out of it, so fair play, but as a Leon fan, I'm not talking. Benmos Anthony, Dariush, 15 seconds or whatever, nice. Bo Nickel and Vieira, nice finish. Robocop and Kopilov, quite a good fight from what I remember. Fun fight. Blanchfield Cortez, nice finish from Blanchfield, and was a fun fight before the finish as well. Ethan Ewing and Malcolm Wellmaker, brilliant fight. I love that fight so much. Dorcas got a nice quick finish over GM3. Pat Sabatini made light work of Chepe Mariscal, and Fatima McLeod looked brilliant against Angela Hill. Bison Gundu Super Sky got a brilliant third round finish and looked good in that fight. And Camilo Borchev, I can't remember much about that fight, to be fair, but very, very good card, in my opinion. Just let down by the main and co-main. So for that reason alone, I feel like all of the card delivered, besides the main and co-main. I'm going to put it in great, but yeah, was heavily let down by the main and co-main. It would have probably been in GOAT, in all fairness. Now we get to the... I've just deleted 323. Technical difficulties. Just give me a second. All right, we're back to it. Now we have the last pay-per-view of the year. This one sits very special in my heart, considering the outcome of the main event. Of course, I'm talking about UFC 323. The main event, I could glaze all day, boys. I could get this video to an hour just glazing this video. Piotr Yan becomes champion again. And I just rewatched the fight earlier. I just had my dinner not long ago. Oh my God, rounds 4 and 5, he really was in a different zone. Yan was. Brilliant fight of the year contender, whilst also being very dominant for Piotr Yan. I scored it 50-45. One of the best displays of MMA we've seen in a while, in my opinion. Great comeback story. Main event was a great main event finish for a pay-per-view, so that's perfect. Co-main lets this card down a lot, man. It really does. I haven't got much to say about the co-main, but we're just robbed of a co-main pretty much. And it's a shame because this card could have been an all-timer, not just of this year, but in general. If we could go, like, man, it started off so fun. Pantoja was throwing the kitchen sink at Van within 20 seconds. Like, this would have been so fun, but I don't want to dwell on it too much. That lets it down a lot, unfortunately. Tyrod versus Moreno wasn't a crazy, entertaining fight, but we got a finish in it, so you can't moan. Peyton Talbot versus Henry Cejudo. Brilliant display from Talbot and a good fight. Jan Blachowicz and Bogdan Guskov, a draw. What fair play. And it was quite entertaining seeing an Unk go at it like Jan Blachowicz. Manuel Torres got a nice finish over Grant Dawson in the first round. Brilliant stuff. Chris Duncan got a nice first round finish and weathered the storm against Terrence McKinney. Brilliant stuff. Macy Barber, Karine Silva was boring, but it had a bit of drama, so fair play. Fares Ziam looked brilliant against Nazim Sadiakov and got the finish. The dark horse of the lightweight division and looked absolutely sensational. Just complete mixing of the martial arts. Bruno Ferreira and Marvin Vittori. was just okay. Nothing crazy in my opinion. Just whatever. Kind of a shame for a Bruno Ferreira fight to not be that fun. But it doesn't matter. We have Jalen Turner getting a finish over Edson Barboza. Nice finish, but it's against Edson Barboza, so fuck you. Iro Baranuski versus Aibo Aslan. One of the greatest 90-second fights you'll ever watch in your entire life. Brilliant stuff. Mansour Abdul Malik did what he had to do and got Antonio Tricoli out there in the very first round. And Myron Santos got a lovely finish over Mohamed Naimov as well. Brilliant card. Like, really, the only stain on this is the co-main and maybe Macy Barber, Karine Silva, and maybe Marvin Vettori and Bruno Ferreira. But even then, like, Macy Barber, Karine Silva was constantly, like, activity. And Marvin Vettori and Bruno Ferreira was landing some big hit punches at times. So they weren't complete and utter duds, but we didn't live up to, like, you know, other fights necessarily. This has got to be a going-in GOAT for me easily. Do I put it above 317, though? It definitely goes above 314, but does it go above 317? Because I'm biased, because I love Piotr, it is. It's a perfect ending for a main event, in my opinion. Good comeback story, great performance, still very, like, fight of the year contender as well. Just brilliant stuff. So, for me, yes, 323 is the greatest card of this year. 317 narrowly just misses out and is just behind it. 314, a bit down the pecking order, but still a fantastic card. And yeah, that's how I think the cards stack up for this year. Let me know in the comments. The only one that went into an absolute stinker one was DDP versus Strickland 312, which isn't too bad having one stinker card out of the entire year. Yeah, we got a mare between these two, but even then you could make an argument there in good as well. So let me know. I think we've had a very good year when it comes to pay-per-views this year. Let me know in the comments what you think, what your rankings are, whether you agree with mine. Let me know in the comments. We've had a great year of pay-per-views. Let's hope next year's the exact same, guys. And if you've enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.